Welcome back to our series on Python programming at the entry level of course, and we are going to jump into a discussion of the basics of tuples. And it is, I chuckle every time I say tuple. I don't know why. Anyways, it's great that it was placed here where it was in our curriculum because let's remember lists. I know how you love them. So here is a list, and it is very similar to a tuple, except there's a big difference. With a list, we can go in, as you know, and we can change a value in the list. Here is me manipulating the first value in the list, and now I will print the list, and you will see, of course, that we manipulated the list. A tuple is just like a list, but you cannot manipulate it. That's right. So in the case where we want a list, but we want it to be read-only, we would create a tuple. So let's take a look here. My tuple. What we like to do is use parentheses in a tuple. So I'll do the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hey, you might be wondering if in a tuple you can mix and match your objects like we could in lists. And yes, you can do that in a tuple as well. So there is a tuple of that same sequence, and it uses the index numbering. So if I were to say, okay, I want to manipulate the first value in the tuple, and I want it to be, let's say, 5, Python says, wait a minute here, tuples don't support that. Yeah, they are read-only. Now, you can create a tuple without the parentheses. I personally would never do this. So notice we could go in and we're creating a second one here, and I'll do something different with it. I'll go up to 60, for example. Notice no parentheses, but it's still going to work. Let's go ahead and print that thing. And does it give us the parentheses when it prints it? Yes, it does. I would definitely use the parens when creating a tuple, personally. In fact, it gets really weird if you want to create a tuple and you only want one object in the tuple. Yeah, if you don't use parentheses, it looks really odd. As a matter of fact, to truly create it, you need to do a trailing comma like that. Yeah, if you just did this without the comma, you're actually creating a variable. So yeah, I definitely like parentheses. And please note, with the one object in your tuple, let's see, do we still have to use the trailing comma there? I don't think so. Let's see if this tuple is just fine. We would definitely have to do that, of course, if we weren't using the parentheses. But remember, I don't really, whoops, I just totally made a mistake. Let's, you know what? I'll go ahead and just restart the shell. That's fine, because I'll try this again. So my tuple 3 equals just one object inside it, 3. Yeah, this is going to work just fine. So we're going to print my tuple 3, and no, I take that back. Look at that. It is not a tuple. So I'm so glad we did this little exercise. We need to have that trailing comma even, oh my gosh, I'm trying to bring up the last command I did there. We need that trailing comma for sure. So it would be my underscore tuple underscore 4, for example, and we would have the one object inside it. And to truly make sure that it is a tuple, we need that trailing comma for that one object. What else did I want to show you in this video? Well, sure enough, you could do this. You could create an empty tuple. That's right. And you would need to create it, obviously, with the open and closing parens. So I think that's going to do it for this introduction of just the basics on these tuples. Again, so much like a list, aren't they? Except notice when we go to modify the tuple, we would get an error because that flies in the face of what a tuple is all about. Yes, it is like a list, but it's a list that cannot be modified in the programmatic logic. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back with another great video on tuples for you coming up next.